Hey guys, today I'm going to be teaching you how to write boss battle music, and without further ado, let's get into it. When you're writing a boss battle theme, you want to start off with what I call the 5 main things of a boss battle theme. The 5 sections most boss fights have are Section 1, Revealing the Boss, Section 2, Main Fight Theme, Section 3, Grandiose Section, Section 4, Exposed Weakness, and Section 5, The Final Stand. Remember, you can always change the order and/or change what's in there, but I'm just giving you a rough estimate on what most boss fights have. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the video. So I'm done with this. So I marked out my A section, my B section, my C section, my D section, and my E section. And now I'm going to be going over what those mean. When you are writing any battle music in general, you want a lead-in, something to take you from the regular gameplay music to the new musical idea that you're going to get with the battle music. So what I did was I did a single piano for the lead-in, and notice I didn't put it in my A section because I don't really want that part to loop, because when it's a boss battle, obviously you're going to be playing it for a longer time than you've written, so you're going to want sections that loop. Normally you can loop each section individually, but you can also loop them one after the other. Like, say if you wanted your first section to loop after your third section, you could always do that. Here is the piano lead-in. For the first part, I ended up just writing the choir part, but then that seemed way too slow, if you know what I mean, because this is all I had, really. Of course, that loops like everything. Next, I decided to add a bass drum because I really wanted that drudging, almost like when you're in a fight, you don't really have like that primal type of feeling of the beat, you know? And so I wanted to add that, and here's a little snippet of that. I wanted more bass. I wanted more lower tones in my music. In this music, I ended up putting some lower strings that was doubling the bass of the choir, I believe. Either that or it's doing its own thing. I wanted it to sound less sharp, so here it is. The noticeable part of the A section is obviously this fast piano lick, and I was just like noodling on the piano for a little bit, and I came up with this. And then for the bass clef of the piano, I ended up coming up with some chords that I felt really emphasized the beats I wanted to be emphasized. So here's a listen to this. So most of that is just basic arpeggios and arpeggiated chords. So after that, I ended up going to the B section. With the B section, I started out with the same thing. I started out with only the choir because I really wanted to make sure all the chords I laid down were steady. Here, let me give you a listen. Next, I came up with a melody, and I wasn't really quite sure what I was going to be doing with this section. So I ended up coming up with a melody that worked with the choir, and this is what it was. Notice how the melody makes that fourth chord pop out even more. I specifically phrased that last note so that it wouldn't really match with the already not matching chord of the choir. And so after I had that figured out, I figured that the rest would be easy, because for the strings, and I think I did some brass, let me see. Yeah, I did low brass and I did strings that doubled that melody. So here's a listen to that. So when you're writing with a bass drum, you really want to have accented notes. The only reason you can see that in here, I've accented pretty roughly with just straight up double fortes and mezzo pianos. Next, we'll get to the C section. I started out with the piano part, and here, have a listen. With that, I now realize how much the bass the bass drum plays into this section, because it really gives that texture that the piano doesn't give. There's a lot of open space in the piano melody, and I wanted to fill it up with something, and I figured, what's more just in the brain? What better to do it with drums? And so I did it with the bass drum, and again I had crazy accents by just putting straight up fortes and pianos. And just hear the difference in how much drums can add to just the simple spaces in between melody. It's crazy the difference it makes when you add the drums. So next I want to show you guys I really wanted a orchestra hit, like, you know, you hear on the classic like Roland keyboards or whatever. I didn't know how I was really going to do that, since I haven't orchestrated an entire orchestra in this piece specifically. And so I think I did a decent job by just making block chords with the strings, and I think it was, yeah, with the strings and brass. I can't believe I've ignored the elephant in the room, this like entire thing of choir that's right here. So funny thing about this, I don't entirely enjoy it because my music notation software sometimes plays them a little too late, but I really do think it brings a lot to this section of the music. Here, have a listen. And so with that, that's our C section. So for the D section, I really wanted to bring it back, showing the grandiose nature of the boss. And so here, have a listen to the piano part, because it's solo piano, because I wanted it very exposed. How I meant it was that it was symbolism, because at the beginning it's almost the exact same melody in the piano. Like here, look, you see this is A, so I wanted to show you that it's the exact same. It just sounds scarier with the choir and the low strings added. I wanted to show more more of the person within the music by just showing the piano by itself, almost as if it was stripped of all of the scariness surrounding the person. And so now we come to our final section. This section is my favorite. Took the longest time to write. No, it didn't. This section I started off with the choir again, like I do with most of my stuff. And I started off in here are the chords. I didn't let it resolve for you guys. I want you to pay attention to this note and this note, because in this last chord, these two notes are the notes that give the tension to be resolved by the first chord. Like, it's straight up just a semitone apart. With the rest of them, it is more fleshed out, and it's less noticeable, but it's still kind of there. I really wanted like a rhythmic thing that wasn't too complex, and that repeated a lot, that I could just kind of copy and paste, but also not, because I changed the notes and everything. I wanted a simple thing to just go along with the chords, and I ended up coming with this, which I put on the strings first, and then I did a counter melody with the bass line, and then I copy and pasted the strings and bass into French horn and into low brass. Here's a listen. So here is me playing it with the choir chords. This part, I was like, you know what? Piano had the melody last time. Why not give it the melody again? So for this one, I had the piano be the melody, and this is the melody. I wanted something that was building, but could also go back down. And with the anticipation, because it repeats one time, with the anticipation the second time of it going back down, I really wanted to do a lot with this next part. This is still technically section E, except it's the end. It's like the actual end. And I really wanted to jar the listener after being normalized to a singular, like, da 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 da. I wanted to just straight up rip that from the listener, so they're expecting like a soft ending, but then all of a sudden they get this 2-bar phrase that I ended up doubling with a low brass too. And after here's a listen to the low brass and French horn. After I did the low brass, I was like, you know what? What if I had some crazy piano stuff going on? Because, I mean, already this piece is piano-centric, even though the piano isn't the main focus for a lot of the piece. So I was like, you know what? Might as well have it do some crazy, weird craziness right here. And so this is it with the piano added. So basically, I was like, how do I make this? Because like I was getting that in my I was hearing it, and I was like, why is it so much more powerful in my head? There was 2 words that explained the reason why. Bass drum. I just needed to add some bass drum. And so once I added a bass drum, I feel like it really just tightened it together. Here's it with the bass drum. I ended up doing 3 bars of 3/4 and 1 bar of 4/4 for this next kind of chunk, I want to say, which the 3 bars of 3/4 each have their own cluster chord. I mean, it's the same cluster chord, it's just pounded over and over again. Like, you know, in the Alien movies where they have the wah. I wanted it to be like that. So here's that chord. Already, it's kind of crazy, you know, kind of, you know, but then, I mean, what really is there other than the final chord, which the final chord is the exact same chord as the cluster chord, except I've changed all of the notes not in the key to the major thirds, and so it's just clean. It's just the straight up major chord. So with the cluster hits, it makes the major chord more powerful because it's not major or minor. So it's kind of just like, where is it in my brain? Where is this in my brain? And then all of a sudden, bam, it's the big major chord that, you know, it just feels like you've won. It feels like you're doing something right. And so here's that. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. I forgot the piano and the bass do a little thing here. I'm going to play just the piano and bass part, and this is what they do in the last chord. I really wanted some like big grandiose ending, and I feel like I really ended up getting that with the addition of said piano twinkles. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Without further ado, let's listen.